Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott, and I'm so excited today to return to Robert B. Stone. Check out my previous episode on miracle metaphysics power, and a lot of people love that episode. Robert Stone was amazing. He was one of the co-creators with the Silva Mind Control technique and taught it, and was a fantastic writer and has so many really unique techniques, and has a certain way of teaching about reality creation. His personality really seeps through the pages as you read it. And today I'm excited because we're going to talk about daydreaming. Daydreaming may be the funnest way to create your reality. In many ways, when we talk about sitting down and meditating, we make it seem like it's something that you have to do, a task, a job, something that you like to do, like working out. And in many ways, you're creating your reality all the time. Your reality is created by what you think of most of the time. And so if you go on flights of fancy during the day, that is when you're creating your reality as well. And it's just like a meditation. If you listen to Abraham Hicks, she talks about daydreaming all the time. For people out there that struggle with meditating or visualizing, you are still doing it all the time. You daydream. And that is when we're connected to source. That's when we're opening ourselves up to imagination. And I got a chance to read some more of Robert B. Stone's material after I spoke with him on email. And so this book is another fantastic book called Life Without Limits. And we're definitely going to return to this several times. And there's so many other pieces of material. I'm excited for you to read his take on daydreaming. And here he talks about how to acquire unlimited wealth and unlimited love. And these are not your normal everyday techniques that you've heard before. Some of this stuff is very unique, and the source material is fantastic. Now, I'm going to read a couple chapters from this book, but there's a bunch of other material, and I recommend reading the whole book and studying it. There's so many different exercises and affirmations in this particular episode. It's going to be so much fun. Daydreaming Your Way to Unlimited Health. From Hukturu, Mongolian shaman. The Mongolians of northern Asia were a people with mysterious powers, invested mostly in their shamans or priests. The shamans were believed to be able to summon spirits to help them do their will. They also had mediumistic powers. They used visualization to create. It seems miraculous that nomadic tribes, such as those united by Genghis Khan in the 12th century and later mixed with Turkish nomads under Batu, could conquer vast lands south to China, southwest to Turkestan, Iraq, and Iran, and northwest into Russia. They were called the Golden Horde. Although they amassed wealth with their conquest, their cities prospered as cosmopolitan trading centers along routes the Mongols secured across Asia. The culture they instilled raised the standard of living. They were in power in China at the time of Marco Polo, who was astonished at the affluence of their royal court. But eventually, their basking in luxury led them to ignore the need to stay armed to protect themselves, and they were overpowered. Our source in this chapter is more modern than most others. He is a Mongolian shaman named Dilawa Hukturu. He was the living Buddha of Inner and Outer Mongolia before the communists took over in the middle of this century. As a monk, he was detached from seeking wealth, yet despite this, abundance followed him. He never wanted for anything, and his needs were miraculously met. Disciples felt overwhelmed in his presence by his loving compassion. When the communists overran his country, he escaped to the United States, where he lived until his death in the 1960s. Recently, we learned from a traveling Mongolian dance troupe that the Dalai Lama had confirmed that a 14-year-old boy in New Jersey was the reincarnation of the holy man Hukturu. Would you like to prosper like the Golden Horde? This chapter will show you the way, but it assumes that you have solidified your connection with your higher self and the Creator pursuant to the procedures in the previous chapters. Even so, you have work to do before you can manifest cold cash. Just as there are obstructions to your being a channel for the Creator, there are obstructions within you, specifically damming up the flow of money. Remove these by following the instructions on the pages ahead, and watch out for a blizzard of dollar bills. Negative programming that costs you money. Poverty is a state of mind, as we will now demonstrate and help you to alleviate. It is why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. There are many ways that it is possible for you to mentally reject prosperity. First, we will put the finger on beliefs you may have accepted, and this means programmed in your early years. Here are some examples. If your parents were poor, you were constantly barraged by the apparently inescapable fate that you, too, would be poor. According to a psychological study, when a person makes a negative statement to you as a child, it takes 9 positive statements to undo the damage by the one negative statement. If you had a low self-image, no matter how rich or poor your parents, you were constantly programming your mental computer that you are not capable of earning a lot of money, and so you will never be wealthy. If you were not necessarily poor yourself, but you knew a number of poor people, you saw how they never materially improved their status, thus programming yourself that once poor, you stay poor. Religious beliefs can, through the years, program you with some wrong beliefs about money. Money is evil is a common religious belief. Only crooks have money, somehow managed to survive to this day as a precept of wealth with no basis in truth. Money is dirty is another. These religious beliefs may have started centuries ago through a misunderstanding of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. For instance, Jesus is quoted as saying, "No man can serve 2 masters, or either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and Mammon." In the same sermon are the words, "Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." It is to those who abandon spiritual concerns in order to live a material life that Jesus was aiming these words. Money was necessary in those days to survive as it is now, and later the church itself had to preach about the importance of money to exist. Up until this day, you have been exposed to a speech mannerism that kept you in a state of consciousness, not conducive to the flow of wealth you deserve. Money does not grow on trees. Nobody is going to do for you what one woman did for her husband's birthday to get him to change his mind about that. She got up early and pinned dollar bills to leaves outside his breakfast window. A penny saved is a penny earned. That one is attributed to Ben Franklin. It would have been better had he said, $1,000 saved is $1,000 earned. The resulting effect on people's minds would have been more rewarding. Other beliefs that you need to flush down the drain are instilled by statements like money goes out a lot faster than it comes in. Artists must struggle, or actors, writers, etc. I treat everybody first, then myself, or I don't deserve. Author Louis L. Hay, vital proponent of prosperity, tells of the students who came to her class all excited because she had just won $500. "I don't believe it," he kept saying. "I never win anything." He obviously felt he did not deserve it. The following week he was absent from class because he had broken his leg. The doctor bills were $500. Nobody likes to take the blame for their own poverty, but it is one's beliefs about wealth or poverty that dictate one's lot. You must decide to change your consciousness about wealth if you are to manifest it. Simple changes in thinking that let the money in. It makes you no richer if you boost your own self-image when actually that is not one of your weaknesses, and you really think quite highly of what you have done and what you can do. You have to analyze your beliefs and pinpoint those particular beliefs that are negative, limiting, and act as a put-down to money or material possessions. How do you feel if somebody says to you, "This is a universe of abundance, so claim your share"? Do you feel angry at them, or disbelieving, or think that the statement is a lot of wishful thinking? How do you feel about spending money? I don't mean that you should be like the woman who, when criticized by her husband for overspending, replied, "Name one other extravagance." I mean, do you feel guilty? How do you feel when you see a pile of bills on your desk waiting to be paid? Do you see them as an enemy trying to conquer you? Or perhaps as a depressing fact of life? These are the kinds of attitudes that make the poor stay poor and perhaps get even poorer. Think like the wealthy instead of like the poor, and you begin to let them in. Yes, this is an abundant universe, and the money is trying to come in, especially if you have grown in consciousness over the past. You can sit in a comfortable chair, close your eyes, visualize a favorite peaceful scene, and then substitute a positive way of thinking for a negative one. Mentally say, "I no longer this." Instead, "I that." Then reinforce this programming from time to time, both mentally and physically. Mentally by repeating the relaxation and affirmation. Physically by some action that demonstrates the positive thought. Some of these actions may seem distant to you, but after programming, you will understand them better. These actions might include treating somebody to a soda or a meal, paying a bill that is not due yet, tipping somebody extravagantly if they deserve it, buying yourself a new tie or hat, sending something to a good cause, saying something nice about somebody's financial luck. If you cannot do these things without feeling some remorse, you are still blocking a universal abundance. Have a talk with yourself. By that, I mean for you to relax and make positive affirmations. Here are some. How to talk yourself wealthy. While relaxed, with your eyes closed, repeat one of these affirmations. The one that you feel you would resist the least several times a day for several days. The words I now mentally repeat bring health, happiness, and prosperity to me. I offer myself to the Creator as a productive channel. I dedicate myself to manifesting the abundant life as a direct result of my devotion to the Creator. I am all wise, all powerful, all conquering, because infinite wisdom guides me and divine love prospers me. Why not start now? As soon as you have selected one of these 3 affirmations, memorize it, relax, and repeat it mentally 3 times. Do it now. Anytime you make a change for the better in your life, the universe applauds. You begin to have coincidences, synchronicities, and little miracles. These are caused by the Creator. A coincidence is an event designed by the Creator, but not signed. You begin to have spiritual experiences that you can neither describe nor explain. Somebody said, if you have your head in the stars and your feet on the ground, you better pull yourself together. I disagree. You are already pulled together. You have a connection to the Creator. You bring the resulting insights back into how you live your life. Mental programming is bringing new wealth to people every day. Take Gene. At 23, he became proprietor of an inn, but lost it. Intuitively, he knew that he should not let his financial blow affect his thinking. He relaxed and gave himself positive affirmations. Then he read the Silva Mind Control method for business managers. written by me together with Jose Silva, founder of that mind training course. He got a marketing manager's position, and using the mental tips provided in the book, built winning sales teams. Louise L. Hay, authority on prosperity, quoted earlier in this chapter, writes that she blesses and loves each bill that arrives in the mail and kisses each cheek she writes to pay it. She blesses her telephone each time she uses it, affirming that it brings her only prosperity and love. She does the same with her mailbox and her front door. Can you imagine yourself doing this? And if you can you also imagine the positive energy that would surround your abode, attracting a flow of abundance to you? What life energy has to do with your bank account? There is an energy field that surrounds the human body. It is the blueprint for the physical body, the pattern that sets the structure upon which the cells of the body grow. This energy field can be measured, and for what is especially important to you, it can be altered. In order to appreciate the importance of this field, you need to know that it is not only the vehicle for the mind-body connection that affects your health, but it is in touch with other energy fields that affect your family, your circumstances, and your relationship with the other side. In fact, what happens to you takes place in these energy fields first. Let us hold a mirror up to you at this very moment. Is there something that is happening or has happened where you feel you did not do the right thing, or where you could have done something better? Or is there something about yourself that you cannot fully accept? Everybody has some aspect of themselves that they deplore. What they don't realize is that such an attitude affects their energy field. It creates a distortion that acts as an obstruction to the flow of energy and to all that depends on that flow of energy: health, relationships, flow of wealth, and well-being. A research scientist at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, Barbara Brennan, has studied and measured the human energy field for 20 years. She believes that when you have something within yourself that you won't accept, you actually create distortions in your own energy pattern that have to do with unforgiveness towards yourself. She further states, when you forgive yourself, you are actually unblocking the flow of energy in your field so that it can flush itself out. It allows for the resumption of the normal life flow. We don't care who you are or what you do. You need to forgive yourself. Despite your military medals, your prize-winning accomplishments, and your adoring family, you will benefit by forgiving yourself. In fact, it needs to be such a thorough job that we will divide yourself into 3 parts so that you can forgive each part separately. The 3 parts are your subconscious, your conscious, and your superconscious. Here are 3 experiences that will cleanse your energy field for a greater flow of all that is good, including, of course, money. Improving your status with the most important person in your life. You will now forgive yourself, starting from the bottom up, the bottom being the deepest aspect of your mind, the subconscious. The subconscious is like a subterranean chamber where all memories are stored. You can bet your bottom dollar that these memories include many that are holding you back and holding back the flow of the energy of wealth. At separate sessions, each taking only a minute or so, you will then forgive yourself at the conscious and superconscious levels. Carl Jung noted that the mind symbolizes its own deep aspects with bodies of water. We will now use that symbol to gain the end so valuable to you. You will see your reflection in the water and forgive that reflection. Here is how. Read these instructions several times until you are sure you know exactly what to do. Exercise to forgive your subconscious. 1. Sit in a comfortable chair. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths and visualize your favorite peaceful scene. 2. Imagine you are walking through a peaceful valley, then a forest of giant, strength-inspiring trees, and you enter a clearing. where there is a placid pond. 3. Stand at the edge of the pond and look down at your reflection in the still water. 4. Repeat mentally, I forgive you for all past failings and misunderstandings, and ask that you forgive me. Then add, I love you. 5. Mentally return the way you came. 6. Open your eyes wide awake. You may now put the book down and do it. The most important person in your life has 3 parts. That person is you. But don't look to see if your body is in 3 parts, because you are not your body. You are your consciousness, which is your handle on life. It is your consciousness that is divided in 3 parts. You have cleared the air with 1 part, your subconscious. Now comes your conscious. That leaves your superconscious. It is preferable that you follow up each as soon as possible. Are you ready to take the second step now? Then here is how to forgive your conscious mind. Read these instructions several times until you are sure you know exactly what to do. Exercise to forgive your conscious. 1. Sit in a comfortable chair, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and visualize your favorite peaceful scene. 2. Imagine you are standing in front of a full-length mirror. You can see yourself from head to toe. 3. You don't like what you see. All of your past mistakes and shortcomings are labeled on your image. You draw a big X over your reflection. You mentally say, I forgive you. 4. You imagine you are turning full circle to the right and are once again facing your full reflection. This time, it is your perfect self. Mentally say, forgive me. Add, I love you. 5. Open your eyes wide awake. The final step is simple. It involves your higher self. You've greeted your higher self before. You are familiar with procedure, but here are the instructions. Read them carefully so that you know them before you begin. Exercise to forgive your superconscious. 1. Sit in a comfortable chair, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and visualize your favorite peaceful scene. 2. Imagine that a person has entered the room mentally. See this person to be you, but taller and bathed in radiant light. 3. Mentally rise, face your higher self, and say, please forgive me for all past mistakes and misconceptions. Pause and add, may this forgiveness be mutual. Mentally embrace your higher self, saying, I love you. 5. Mentally return to your seat and open your eyes, wide awake. You will feel an elation at reaching this point in attaining a richer life. This is due to an increase in the flow of life energy. Your energy has been cleared of blockages that prevent its flow between you and your body cells, between you and other people, and between you and other forms of energy such as money. Expect better times. Striking while the iron is hot. If you have serious need of money, now is the time to use your imaging power to create it. It is only human to do something that you are not totally satisfied with in the days ahead. This will besmudge your energy field. Even if it is a mild altercation with a fellow worker or a neighbor or a family member, it will have a money preventative effect on your energy field. Right now, that field is in perfect order, ready to react to your creative imagination. Do one of the following exercises only if you have a valid and urgent need for a sizable amount of money. We say only one exercise because if you do more than one, it is because you don't expect one to work. This lack of belief is a no-no. You're right, it won't work. Priscilla did the ball of light exercise and came into $75,000. Ashton got an unexpected tax refund. I received a royalty many times what I expected. The universal bank exercise is not used universally. It appears to be more popular in the western part of the United States. The money angel exercise requires a more critical need than the other two. Choose one, read the instructions, only for the one you choose. Otherwise, Your choice may be based on factors related to the instructions rather than your need. Know the instructions for the one you choose well before you start. I recommend that you get the Kindle copy of this, which is available, but I will read these exercises. The ball of light exercise. 1. Take a denomination of money and keep it handy. The larger denomination, the bigger the return. 2. Sit in a comfortable chair. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Then place the money on your lap. 3. Imagine a large ball of light about a foot over your head. It is the size of a basketball. 4. Mentally move the ball of light slowly down, encompassing your head. Now inside your body, letting it move slowly down until it reaches the level of your navel. 5. Imagine a beam of light emanating from the ball of light and shining through your solar plexus, just above the navel, onto the money on your lap. 6. See the money getting charged with energy from the light. 7. Mentally withdraw the beam of light. 8. Mentally send the money out into space. 9. Mentally see 1,000,000 bills of money in all denominations flying back at you. It is like a money blizzard. 10. Move the ball of light slowly up to the position above your head where it started and let it disappear. 11. Open your eyes wide awake. In the next 24 hours, rid yourself of the money on your lap, either by spending it or changing it. If you know all the steps, put this book down and do it now. The Universal Bank Exercise. 1. Sit in a comfortable chair, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and imagine a large city. There is a stately columned building in front of you. Above the columns, you mentally see the words Universal Bank. 2. Go up the few stone steps and enter the bank through one of the main doors. Then go over to the table where there is a supply of blank checks. 3. Mentally write a check payable to yourself for an amount dictated by your need, not greed. 4. Mentally walk over to a cashier and hand in the check. See the cashier nod smilingly, indicating approval. 5. Mentally leave the way you came. 6. Open your eyes wide awake, knowing the solution to your financial need is on the way. If you know all the steps, put the book down and do it now. Money Angel Exercise. 1. Sit in a comfortable chair, close your eyes, and take 3 deep breaths. 2. Invite your higher self into the room. When this larger version of yourself appears in your imagination, mentally embrace and say, "I love you." 3. Ask your higher self to please call your guardian angel into the room. 4. When you imagine your guardian angel entering the room, say thank you for all your past help. 5. Next, mentally explain to your guardian angel how much money you need and the reasons you need it. 6. Mentally thank your guardian angel and your higher self and open your eyes wide awake. If you know all the steps, put the book down and do it now. Idiosyncrasies to avoid in handling money. Once money arrives to pay your bills or to permit some venture, you are not necessarily out of the woods. Psychiatrists and psychologists have identified several idiosyncrasies and neurotic attitudes that people frequently have about money. These can be pitfalls that bring you back to where you started. Before you go into them, it is important that you realize for money to continue to flow into you, it must also flow out. Yes, you can save some, and indeed you should, but remember that the Creator's wealth must be kept flowing. You are a channel for this wealth, and to be able to enjoy it on a continuing basis, the channel must not get blocked. Now, for the peculiarity in money habits to watch out for, some people have no focus or goals when it comes to money, so they are likely to spend it thoughtlessly. Many go on shopping sprees as a way of boosting their self-esteem. This may have sounded like you before starting this book, but with the reprogramming you've been doing, It's probably just a memory. At any rate, check your spending. If you're using credit cards with abandon, give yourself this reprogramming. I love the Creator for the bounty supplied me. I use it wisely, honoring the Creator every time. By relaxing and repeating this affirmation several times a day for several days, you will probably find that you have cut up all but one or two of your credit cards and have increased your savings allotment. You will find you are going into stores less frequently and buying only what you need. Some people use money for the excitement of gambling. They bet money on the horses, on the blackjack table, or on the stock market. If they win, they feel good. If they lose, they keep gambling in order to recapture that good feeling. If you are a gambler, you're probably addicted as a source of excitement. Just as we can become addicted to sex as excitement, we can become compulsive about gambling. So I'm not going to ask you to program yourself not to gamble. Rather, I'm asking you to change races from horses to humans. Betting on the human race can be even more exciting. So can changing games, as from poker or dice to the game of life. This is the affirmation, repeated several times a day for a few days, that will turn the trick. I love the Creator for the bounty before me. Every day, in every way, what comes to me, I use creatively and constructively, gambling it in the game of life. Then there are people who are compulsive savers. This may not lead to the recurring shortages experienced by spendthrifts or gamblers, but it can work against one's prosperity too. If life's abundance is blocked because of some dead-end street, it seeks another path. We attract wealth because we are channels for that wealth, specifically creative channels and paths of fun. Benjamin Franklin, to whom is attributed "a penny saved is a penny earned," also said, "The use of money is all the advantage there is in having it." If you are not spending some of the incoming flow on having fun and fulfilling your dreams and aspirations, you are, in effect, a dam to the natural flow of life energy, as represented by the money. You are creating less than you can. If you are cramping your style and that of your family by stashing your money where it is safe from being spent, you are probably up to here in fear of a rainy day. If so, reprogram yourself with the confidence-building affirmations in previous chapters, or use the following one. I love the Creator for the bounty before me. I seek a balance between using it for good now and using it for good later. I conscientiously fill my assigned role as a co-creator. Used several times a day while relaxed in the usual way, this reprogramming will enable you, contrary to the way the saying goes, to have your cake and eat it too. Other forms of wealth that are on the way to you. The last affirmation is of universal benefit for spenders and non-spenders alike. Filling your role as a co-creator is the common denominator for wealth, and it comes in many forms. John was a chronic baseball fan. He not only went to every home game in Cincinnati, but traveled to other cities. When he told his boss at the brokerage where he worked that he had to go to an aunt's funeral, his boss shook his head, not only in compassionate grief, but in astonishment that so many aunts could be lost in so brief a time. John was a standstill in the company. His clients were too. His boss would give him some ideas from time to time, such as encouraging him to look into the latest internet developments or aerospace companies. John accepted the advice enthusiastically, but followed up instead on the day's major league scores. One day, when John announced the death of another member of his family, his boss hit him squarely in the eyes with, "You've got an addiction to funerals, John." He handed him a slip of paper. "I recommend you see this psychologist." John took his advice. The psychologist used hypnotism and gave John anti-baseball suggestions that took root. But to his credit, the psychologist also gave John some positive suggestions to fill the gap left by baseball, such as, "You will enjoy your brokerage work more and more as you use your financial knowledge and intuition to greater and greater advantage for yourself and others." As John's attendance improved, so did his devotion to creative investing. He and his clients prospered as never before, and so did his marital relations. In fact, he and his wife found a new mutually enjoyable hobby, sailing on a nearby lake, but not during office hours. Wealth comes in many forms. When its time has come, yours is now. The Creator is crediting you. Again, quoting Ben Franklin, "The longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of man, and if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid?" A daydream that pays off handsomely. Each of the 3 exercises to create quick cash given earlier in this chapter, Ball of Light, Universal Bank, and Money Angel, involved visualization and daydreaming. That is because a creative act was involved and imagery is directly involved in the creative process. The processes given you to neutralize idiosyncrasies in the handling of money include no imaging, only reprogramming with affirmations. That is because what was accomplished was not creating, but changing behavior. It is always productive to daydream creatively. It would now be productive to daydream that your quick cash has arrived and you are using it to fulfill your needs. Here's how. Exercise to reinforce money exercises. 1. Sit in a comfortable chair, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and visualize yourself at the usual place you handle money matters, at home or at work. 2. Mentally see yourself preparing a deposit. You are elated and full of energy. Hold this moment in your mind for a few seconds, letting it play itself. 3. Mentally repeat, "I love the Creator for the bounty before me," and consciously fill my assigned role as a co-creator. 4. Open your eyes wide awake. Read these instructions several times and memorize the final affirmation. Whenever I teach these methods for obtaining wealth to an all-day class, I always conclude with, "Don't forget my 10%. Of course, it is meant as a joke, and indeed it always gets a laugh. They do not owe me 10%, and neither do you. I might go as far to say you even do not have to tithe with this money. That is, you are not obliged to give 10% to a house of worship. The reason is you have already pledged to use it for the Creator's work. Do what you wish to do, but all earned wealth belongs to the Creator. We all work for the Creator to help make this a better world to live in." Daydreaming Your Way to Unlimited Love, from Iriana, Sorceress of the Berbers. "I love humanity. It's people I hate. Whoever said that certainly did so in jest, but unfortunately it is quite common. To some, love is a dirty word, because they think so. It is. To others, love is something you may feel, but find too dangerous to express. So you don't. Love is what makes the world go round. This saying comes closest to the truth. Without love in the universe, there would be no law of attraction, no gravitational pulls, no solar systems, no galaxies, probably no sex either. This chapter helps you to attract more love in your life. It is not limiting to use your relaxed imagining power, but this daydreaming is certainly a vital part. It goes beyond daydreaming to some physical and metaphysical approaches to obtaining relationships, from sexual to soulful. Throughout the chapter, one truth prevails that will be repeated from time to time. It is universally true, but universally difficult to apply. Here it is. You receive as much love as you give. No matter which of the remarkable steps you take to manifest more love in your life, as spelled out on the pages ahead, you will receive only as much love as you give. Period. So the first step we need to take has apparently nothing to do with receiving love, only with giving it. Some secret reason why you find it difficult to express your love. The more love you express in your daily life, the more lovable you yourself become. Priority number 1. How do I express more love in my life? Love is natural. So to answer the question of expressing it more, we need to find out what is blocking it. Once we identify the blocks, we can program them out and reprogram a loving nature in. To know more about such blocks, we have guidance from the distant past. Iriana, sorceress of the Berbers, comes through with a surprise. She repeats the word aloha. This is a Hawaiian word for love. What has it to do with the Berbers, who were a northern African Caucasian people? Research turns up little hard information. The Berbers valued their freedom and eluded control by others, even though they lived in communities from Egypt to the Atlantic coast and from the Sahara Desert to the Mediterranean Sea. Originally, they had their own language, but apparently were so considerate of others that they spoke the language of any country they were in. They were creative with pottery, weaving, and embroidery. The men were largely farmers. All were poets and usually put their poetry to music. The Berbers were apparently so appreciative of other peoples that they were frequently absorbed by them, especially by the Arabs. Then research hit the jackpot. A visitor to North Africa several decades ago met a Berber who still knew the ancient Berber language. This visitor was part Hawaiian, and to his amazement, the Berber language was chock full of similarities to the Hawaiian language. Any connection to Hawaii is a connection to love. You cannot say hello or goodbye in Hawaiian without saying I love you, as the word aloha means all three. So, if you were brought up as a Hawaiian, you would not have a problem with expressing love. But you are not, so you do. You are created by a creator, and therefore are born a reflected image of the same. But in a few years, you become a reflection of your parents and others who surround you. When you berate others later, you are doing what your parents did to you as a child. You might even use the same word. You spilled your milk, clumsy. You walked on a new planted garden, stupid. You break a toy, crazy. You acquire a self-image of being clumsy, stupid, and crazy. You get even with others by bringing them down to your level, shouting with epithets, clumsy, stupid, and crazy. You might still be doing it if your parents never praised you. Not only do you not feel praise for yourself, but neither do you feel praise for others. However, do not blame your parents, as they were acting the way they learned from their parents, and so on. It is now up to you to break the cycle. It is an important cycle to break because it interferes with receiving love in your life. You are probably acting in a way that causes a fellow worker to be irritable, your boss to be unappreciative, and others to turn their back on you. Is that what you want? Of course not. A daydream that programs daily love. The first we hear of the Berbers is their arrival in Egypt about 1300 BC from other parts of northern Africa. They came in search of food. By 200 BC, they had settled south of the Sahara and were skilled iron workers. Soon they became a vital part of the whole North African scene, dominating the Mediterranean coastline. They became famous far beyond their own lands for the beauty and speed of their horses, but they contributed very little to matters of historical value. Could this be the result of their friendliness and loving nature rather than a warlike nature? Even today, journalists and historians tend to dramatize wars and ignore the quiet waters of serenity. Eventually, Berber cities acquired Roman habits and customs, and many Berbers became citizens of Rome. Today, there are about 15 million Berbers, with a variety of Berber dialects. They are almost all Muslims and follow Arabic traditions and customs. My mental impression of the Berber source, known as Iriana, is one of overwhelming love. Perhaps love is an area you would like to change in your own life. To begin to change, you need to want to change. You need to want more love in your life and be willing to give more love in your life to others. Think of 1, 2, or 3 people who do not treat you the way you would like to be treated. We will call them A, B, and C. You will use these people in the exercise that you are about to do that will reprogram your own behavior. Read over the following instructions several times until you are convinced you know the steps you are to follow. Exercise to express more love. 1. Sit in a comfortable chair. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath and visualize a favorite peaceful scene. 2. Imagine the first person, A, the way you usually see him or her at work, at home, etc. Feel a lack of rapport. 3. Mentally say, I want this to change in the direction of a greater expression of love. 4. Mentally forgive this person. Imagine an immediate change for the better. 5. Do the same with B and then with C. 6. Repeat mentally 3 times, I am more and more understanding and loving every day. 7. Open your eyes wide awake, knowing that a more loving world awaits you. When you know this procedure, put the book down and do it. Repeat 3 times a day for 3 days. Do you demand immediate results? Will you blow up if your boss gives you a hard time tomorrow? That would not be loving, would it? Understand that you are changed, and as you express this change, be it with patience, jocularity, or courtesy, your change will cause others to change. It is well worth waiting for, but you do not have long to wait. Transform physical love from cool to hot. When Clarence was a boy, his parents never kissed in front of him. When he saw a couple doing so on a park bench, he asked his mother what was happening. The answer, a tug on the arm and, "Oh, never mind." His room was next to his parents', and by the time he was 10, he began to notice that on Saturday nights they locked the door, and he could hear them pull down the shades. Then there was a bouncing on the bed springs. In a few minutes, it stopped, and then he heard their toilet flushing. Clarence talked about this with his peers. He found out that his parents were having sex, not making love, but having sex. When his own maturity arrived and relationships with girls began, they were fleeting. He wondered why, even by the age of 25, he had not developed a single lasting relationship. Soon, Clarence met a young lady who insisted on remaining a virgin until she married, so he married her. Within a year, they were at a marriage counselor. There, this whole story unfolded. It was a familiar one to the counselor who gave Clarence and his bride some required X-rated reading. This changed Clarence's way of looking at himself as a male stud. He became instead a loving male mate. If you have a disinclination to show affection with your family or with people to whom you are attracted, it is probably not for the same reasons that tripped up Clarence, but whatever the reason, such coldness on your part induces equal coldness on the part of others. Here is how to warm up the situation. Write your own X-rated movie. Daydream about Marilyn Monroe, if you will, ravishing you with hugs, kisses, and affection, and you as her leading man, reacting to this ecstasy. I am not going to have anything to do with this movie. It's your party. You are the author, the director, and the lead. See this movie in the privacy of your own daydream. By this time, you know how. Read these instructions several times. Exercise for sexual love. 1. Sit in a comfortable chair, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and visualize a movie screen. 2. Mentally see your X-rated movie. Run it as long as you wish. 3. Open your eyes wide awake, realizing it could be a true story. Repeat as needed. A coolness toward demonstrations of affection may be connected with religious training that taught sex was dirty. If expressing love and tenderness caused you to fear that it might lead to a sexual act, you would avoid such expressions. You don't want to dirty yourself. This avoidance spreads to include all people. Don't look now, but you have become a cold fish. Affection is an important aspect of love, where individuals are involved socially. It is not a turnpike to sex. You can put your arm around somebody, male or female, and your action does not have to be misunderstood. If you love a person, showing affection is natural. Affection, later becoming more intimate in sex, is natural. Furthermore, sex is not dirty. Sex is the ultimate expression of love, and love is the ultimate expression of spirituality. Is spirituality dirty? My words on these pages, blaring forth as trumpets, will not change you. You must want to change, and you must reprogram in order to change. The following reprogramming procedure is recommended when a relationship is being interfered with by a partner's belief that sex is dirty. Read these instructions several times until you're thoroughly familiar with them. Exercise to dispel the image of sex as dirty. 1. Sit in a comfortable chair, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and visualize your loved one naked. 2. There's a sliding glass door between the two of you, and it is so dirty that you can hardly see through it. The naked body is partially obscured by the dirt. 3. Mentally affirm, I want this to change. 4. Imagine your partner stepping forward with a rag and cleaning the door. 5. You can now see the naked body clearly. and it is beautiful to you. 6. Open your eyes wide awake, noting your changed attitude towards sex. If you know the procedure, put the book down and do it now. Drawing people to your side. Before you can love humanity, you must love people. Before you love people, you must be able to love a person. Before you love a person, you must be able to draw such a person to your side to better know them. Know is not used here in the carnal sense, but in the broader person-to-person sense. Before you can love a person, you must know their assets and their shortcomings, their beliefs and their disbeliefs, their likes and dislikes. This cannot be done at a distance. So how do you draw a person to your side? If you are cold, unfriendly, and aloof, you are repelling rather than attracting. Should this describe you? All is not lost. There are ancient rites that still work today. We understand them not as some magical power, but as a tool to change their user. An example could be the placebo. If a doctor does not know how to cure you, he might prescribe a sugar pill. You do not know it is a sugar pill. You think it is some powerful medicine with magic to power to the cure. You take it as prescribed, and you are cured. Ignore what I have just told you. Consider the few steps about to be described not as placebos, but as powerful charms and incantations. Know that they work. They may not have started with the Berbers, but they were used by them and used by other ancient peoples. Stephen and Lucille were to be married, but she met with somebody else, who, she said, needed her more. Stephen, crushed in spirit and wallowing in despair, decided to use his knowledge of metaphysics to win her back from Chicago, where she had gone with this other man. Lucille had left her equestrian gear with Stephen, her riding habit and boots. Stephen sat in a comfortable chair with his gear on his lap. He closed his eyes, took 3 deep breaths, and pictured the gear as Lucille herself. As he caressed them, he imagined her feeling his love. Mentally, he asked, "Would it not be good for you and me to be together?" When he opened his eyes, wide awake, the work was not finished. He took the clothes into his car. When he went to work, he placed them in his bed. When he went to sleep, in a few months, Lucille called from Chicago. Would he meet her at the airport in 2 weeks? They were married. All the instructions you need are in this story. If you choose to do it, be sure it is the person you want to be closer to, because it works. Another way to draw a person to your side, to know them better, involves simple visualization while relaxed. Mentally see the person standing in front of you. Whisper into the person's left ear, on your right if the image is facing you. Tell the person that you would like to explore a possible friendship or love affair. End your relaxation on a note of expectancy. How to use body language to attract others. Do you know that you are in possession of one of the most powerful tools to attract other people? That tool is silence. When used in the proper place at the proper time, silence can be irresistible. Silence reflects super self-confidence. I took a class in government at MIT. When I was enrolled there, it was a small class of about 10 students that met informally around a table with the professor and chatted. I never opened my mouth for the 4-month semester, yet I received an H honor, the highest mark. Obviously, the professor was impressed with my silence. Here is how silence can be combined with body language to radiate irresistible self-confidence. A man leans against a wall, his thumbs hooked under his belt, fingers pointing down. A girl seated leans nonchalantly on her elbow, swinging her crossed leg. A man looks upward, thoughtfully ignoring everyone around him. A girl stands next to a person she would like to know better, taking no part in the group's conversation, and leans toward that person just enough to touch his shoulders. The eyes have traditionally played an important part in bringing people together. Psychologists have discovered that when a person sees something he or she likes, there is an expansion of the eye's pupil. Contrarily, when a person sees something unlikable, the pupil of the eye contracts. This helps to explain why, in all cultures, large, expressive eyes are considered an asset. You have been noticing this yourself. When people's eyes light up, you know they are glad to see you. When people are angry, their eyes become like narrow slits. Over there is a person you would like to know better. Do you greet that person with your eyes in narrow slits? Of course not. You would not get very far. Instead, you open the aperture of the eyes slightly. You do not stare, but you hold eye contact a bit longer with eyes open a bit wider. Now this could be a good time to express your wish vocally. Maybe, do you have time for a cup of coffee? In a few minutes, you'll likely be asking cream or sugar. The importance of self-confidence in attracting love. Usually people look for inspiration in other people. Yes, writers are curious about other writers. Artists are interested in other artists and how they get their inspiration. Businessmen hope to get inside information or new approaches from other businessmen. Fundamentally, a person is interested in how another person lives their life in the hopes they can benefit by doing something similar in their life. The basic attraction is success. Are you attracted to a person out of work, or a person shabbily dressed, or a person with an offspring in prison? These types seem to be losers. What do you have to gain in fanning such a friendship? So you pass. But when you come across a person who exudes self-confidence, your reaction is positive. Now put yourself in the other person's shoes. To attract that person, you must reflect confidence. How do you reflect confidence when there have been a number of shortcomings in your talents or behavior to date? The answer is reprogram. What is that undermines your self-confidence? Do you set unreasonable standards for yourself? Do you have a fear of intimacy? Were you in love once and hurt by it? Do you have feelings of unworthiness? Are you stung by criticism? Perhaps a parental relationship has given you a feeling of being unlovable. You don't necessarily have to identify the cause of your feelings of being unworthy of love. We will provide new programming that will overwhelm the old and give you the new. The new being self-confidence that radiates irresistible attraction. If you are able to identify the cause, insert the second step of these instructions. Read this several times until you are totally familiar with the steps, including the words of the final affirmation. Exercise to build self-confidence. 1. Sit in a comfortable chair. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths and visualize your favorite peaceful scene. 2. If your confidence has been undermined by a specific person and/or event, mentally picture those details as if they were happening at the moment. Then mentally draw a big red no over the picture. 3. Now see yourself surrounded by an admiring throng. Each person is anxious to attract your attention. 4. Mentally repeat 3 times, I love myself and I am loved by others. I am free of all limiting past experiences. I attract only loving people into my daily life, and this is so. How to attract a certain special person. Love is the greatest power in the universe. It can drive men and women to commit atrocious crimes, or it can lift them to the highest peaks of ecstasy. To be without a lover or loved one is to be empty. To be without the person you long for is to be driven to desperation. We have reached a point where we are going to confront the issue of lovelessness head-on. We are going to assume that there is a person you long for and things are not working out. This is an age-old problem. It was faced by many cultures and tested by many occult practices, going back even before the Berbers to the days of King Solomon. The Hebrew Kabbalah, or Science of the Prophets, is a book containing ancient mysteries known only to the Jewish rabbis of old. These wise men wanted these secrets preserved for the future, but not in such a way as to help anyone undeserving. So the Kabbalah was written quite esoterically, and even today the average person sees it as a collection of riddles. You now know how creative mental images can be. The ancients often recorded their successful mental images, whether based on reality or symbolism. Solomon's seal is such a record. Today, these ancient diagrams still perform faithfully. They create for you in ways that defy explanation. Solomon's seal has the power to bring 2 people together. Are you yearning to be with a certain person? Would you like to see this person drawn to your side, as if by some unseen power? Solomon's seal will help you to do it. If no person will be hurt by it, such as that person's mate if that person is married. But there is a price to pay. Free will still dominates the actions of those involved. You must be willing for that person to leave if such is his or her will. Agreed? Then here is how. Read these instructions over now. Then again after you have traced the seal and have the picture until you are convinced that you know the steps and words of the affirmation. I will include a picture of the seal on the thumbnail. Exercise to draw a loved one to you. 1. Trace figure 1, Solomon seal, onto a piece of paper. If love or physical attraction is your motive for wanting the person to come to your side, use a red crayon or red felt pen to trace with. If you can find a luminescent red, even better. It will add light and power to the procedure. 2. Obtain a photo of the person you wish to attract or make a sketch that represents the person to you. 3. With the seal tracing and photo or sketch on your lap, sit in a comfortable chair, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths and visualize the person. 4. Feel great respect for the seal, then place the seal face to face with the photo or sketch. 5. Mentally say, "If it is the Creator's will, so be it." 6. Open your eyes wide awake. 7. Keep the seal and photo or sketch with you wherever you go, still face to face, keeping it if you drive in your car and in the office or at work and under your pillow at night until you meet. The importance of impersonal love. Love is universal. It is rampant around planet Earth particularly. Say the Swedish, "A life without love is like a year without summer." Say the Spanish, "Man, woman, and love originated fire." Say the Argentines, "The one who loves you will make you weep." Say in the Hindi and Asia, "Since love departs at dawn, create, O God, a night that has no morn." Ram Dass puts it well when he says, "You are no longer a Buddhist or a Hindu or a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim. You are love. You are truth. And love and truth have no form." We have been covering the subject of love from the point of view of special friends and romantic relationships. But to truly have a better life, you have to understand more about love than the limited approach so far. It is difficult to love the people of your town. You know so few of them, and you know so little about those whom you do know. How about loving the people in the next town? Well, you might say, that's carrying love a little too far. Is it really? Think about this. All humankind shares common intelligence beside their own private intelligence, as mentioned earlier. It is what Rupert Sheldrake calls the morphogenetic field of intelligence, and what Carl Jung identified a century earlier as the collective unconscious. It might even be admitted by scientists a century from now that an intelligence fills all space and may well be what we call the Creator. Can you love somebody whom you do not know in person, but who shares the same intelligence with you? How can you not? This is being realized more and more, not by nations necessarily, but by individuals here and there. These are individuals who already enjoy the better life that you are working toward with the use of this book. They have it because of the realization that we all share the same intelligence. They are able to love humanity because of the realization of its oneness. And they have a faint inkling that evolution is moving us all into one living organism that will save the planet from the destruction toward which it is now heading because of a collective self-awareness. Abraham Maslow, the father of humanistic psychology, reports that people are acquiring a profound sense of what he calls unitive consciousness. Once the domain of only yogis and mystics, the higher state of consciousness has been found to be at the alpha level. The alpha level is the brain frequency you have been experiencing when you sit in a comfortable chair, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and begin to see with the mind's eye. You've been developing a higher state of consciousness, quid erat demonstramus. The whole purpose of relaxing and imaging is to activate the right brain hemisphere, as you recall, which connects us to the creative realm and of course to the Creator. You cannot get much higher in consciousness than that. You have actually been rising in consciousness to a point above the average human on Earth. As you live your life with this greater perspective, people who oppose you, criticize you, or do you wrong no longer appear as monsters with evil thought, but as children with undeveloped thought. And can you not love a child? Your wavelength and your purpose in life. If you've been following this chapter by chapter, that is putting the book down and doing the exercises, you are probably beginning to feel that you are on a different wavelength than before. Encourage that feeling in yourself. It's a promising one. It promises more help from the angels, more attention to you from the other side, more love from the Creator. Let the feeling translate into more love from you. With your life moving to a higher level of joy, you can afford to let go of the barriers you have been erecting against love. The best is yet to come. Before you finish the last chapter, I am confident that you will reach a state of consciousness where you will begin to lose all sense of separateness and move toward a feeling of oneness with all. That is the ultimate state of love. You will be the same person. Your family will see you as the same person. You can walk along the sidewalk crowd and you won't stand out in any way. Still, there will be two essential changes that are non-physical. You will be more loving. You will better understand your purpose in life. This may mean nothing important to your lawyer, your accountant, your banker, or your business associate. They will hardly notice any change except they may listen to you more closely, take you more seriously, and appreciate the wisdom of your advice and decisions on matters with which they are concerned. This may mean nothing dramatically important to your family either. Nobody will be keeping score, but if they were, your parents and you may be on the same side of an issue more frequently. Your children will be pestering you more fastidiously, but you will enjoy it. Your mate will be happier in bed. You are finished with the kinds of disruptions that life dealt you before. Blockage, repression, and hostility should now lead to smoother sailing, greater self-certainty, and downright imperturbability. The two essential changes that bring this on, as mentioned before, are being loving and knowing your purpose in life. Usually the first leads to the second, but this has not been the case for you. Here is a 2-minute exercise that encourages this understanding of one's mission. Read these instructions several times until you are thoroughly familiar with the steps. Exercise to know your purpose. 1. Sit in a comfortable chair. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths and visualize your favorite peaceful scene. 2. The scene disappears, and in its place is your higher self, taller than you and bathed in brilliant white light. 3. Rise, embrace your higher self, and be seated. 4. Mentally ask, what is my mission in this life? 5. Your higher self steps aside and points to a mental screen. In that standing place, your higher self leaves. 6. Repeat the question mentally and watch the screen expectantly. A picture of you in some activity associated with your mission or destiny should appear. Let it play itself out. Open your eyes, wide awake, and think about what you just mentally observed. A Buddhist meditation practice that builds love. Once you are convinced about what your mission is, you will find yourself maneuvering to gradually be there if you are not already on that path. You will get unbelievable help in the process. There will be coincidences and synchronicities. There will be accidental meetings and lucky happenings. Events that will help you get on the right track, but will have nothing to do with accident, luck, or coincidence. You will become comfortable with the idea that the Creator and the angels are working with you, and you will recognize divine guidance in even the most gentle whisper. There is a Buddhist meditative practice that is quite powerful. The Sanskrit word for love is metta. If you sit in a comfortable chair, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and mentally repeat the word metta, it gives your consciousness a love boost. You could add other positive related words such as, may I be filled with love and understanding, or may I become more and more loving every day. Always end by, again, repeating, metta, metta, metta. We don't have to go back in time in order to find affirmations that are powerful and effective. You are now able to put together your own words that act to inspire your consciousness to new heights of divine wisdom. I am in tune with divine wisdom even in the midst of my activities. What's wrong with that? Or creative energy is in every cell of my body and mind and is one with the Creator's wish for me. Not bad, eh? Or what about thank you, my Creator, for your love that flows through me now. Got the picture? You are on your own. And those are the 2 chapters on daydreaming. There's a lot to unpack there. You can go back and listen to those many exercises, and I may perhaps put these into a meditation at some point. Really amazing discussion of wealth and love. And the reason I love the discussion on wealth is he focuses on forgiveness, which is many times the big block that people have to their own wealth. It was for me. And that's why I found this to be so powerful. Some of these visualization techniques I'm excited to try. And the love exercise was very interesting because a lot of times we are not finding love because of beliefs we were given as children about affection or other carnal type of things that for us make sex dirty. As he explains, this can be limiting what you're looking for and thinking about. So these are great, but the very end of this chapter is just amazing, talking about what love is on a wider scale and finding your own purpose. And it's interesting. We will talk about the Silva Mind Control technique some more, but they really did research on states of consciousness. Now, there is differing theories on brainwaves. Silva Mind Control really emphasized the alpha brainwave state. And some people have found that theta is more powerful, and then Dr. Joe is talking about the gamma. So I'm fascinated by discussions of brainwave, and we will definitely get further into Jose Silva because his story is amazing, and we're definitely going to go into some of his background and the story behind the Silva Mind Control technique because I've been using it for years, and it's amazing. You can use it to communicate with other people on a telepathic level. Robert B. Stone was an amazing writer and carried a huge amount of metaphysical knowledge, and these discussions are so much fun. So look out in the future for more episodes on Robert B. Stone. Definitely be exploring some of his other works, and check out this book, Life Without Limits. It's just fantastic, and I'm wishing you unlimited wealth and unlimited love. All episodes of The Reality Revolution can be found at therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.